Hey, what's up, my little num nums? It's Chamu Misu here, and I'm here to give my opinions on My Pride and why it became so popular, especially in the indie animal mater tube space here on YouTube. Because personally, if I'm being honest, I don't believe the story of My Pride is all that good. I think it's okay, it's serviceable, it's jarring, it's violent, and it's messed up. It's emotional, but just because it's all of that stuff doesn't make it good. I'm going to go down the list from the least important factors I believe contributed to the success of My Pride to the most important. So the first thing on this list is more so an honorable mention because I don't believe these really contributed that much to the success of My Pride at all. But since I see so many people mentioning these things about the show, I feel like I should touch on them as well. While I go over this, please enjoy the speed paint I'm doing of Kira, a character from my series, The Heroes of Mosai. Check it out if you want. The link will be in the description. So the first point I'd like to touch on as to why this series is so popular is the story and world building. Okay, so as I said, I don't really think this is why the series is that popular. A lot of people are saying that it is these two things. And I can see some members of the fan base genuinely thinking that's why the series is popular. But I'm here to tell you, no. No, okay, this is bullshit. I get why some people think this. And I'll discuss some of the reasons why I believe they think this later. There'll be other points in this video that I discuss that are the actual reasons I believe why people think it's the story building, the story and world building, and not, the thing it actually is. But in terms of the story and world building, the story, in my opinion, is serviceable. It does basic things like getting you invested in the characters by introducing us to an immediate villain and conflict. The story has moments where the lore contradicts, though, and the characters' motivations and emotions will just change on a dime. Like, characters turn on each other for dumb reasons. Looking at you, Fire. If you don't believe me, another indie animal mater tuber by the name of Detective Calico already made a video on this. Go watch it. It's great. It's 2 hours and 40 minutes of pure genius. Okay. I will link that in the description as well. Okay. And if you want to see a feline-centered indie series with genuinely good world building and a good story, go watch Dragon's Blood by Fluffy Ginger. Okay. You're welcome. But seriously, there are entire spin-off series of this show. I know at least 2 other YouTubers who have Lion series now that started because of this show. And that to me is just so impressive because in my opinion, there's not really that much to work with when it comes to the world building of My Pride. They have a beginning where they explain the backstory, but in a fictional series, that's step 0. You have to do that. Unless you're going to start from the very beginning of everything, you have to explain the backstory, or otherwise people just won't know what's going on. Then there's Pride Law. That's a pretty big part of the world building. And I'm not going to go into what these things mean in this video. This is really just kind of a rant on why it's so popular. So if I sound all over the place, sorry, it's really just a rant video. But Pride Law is pretty restrictive, in my opinion, in terms of creativity. And by restrictive, I mean, if you were to make a spinoff series of the show, and I mean make it faithfully, where you incorporate, the major elements of the show, the major villains of whatnot of the show, you would basically need to include Pride Law because that's the main contention of the show. That is pretty much the villain in itself, is Pride Law. And that part of the universe is pretty inflexible. Even though there's literally a contradiction in about Pride Law in the series. There's a scene in My Pride where Firemane takes over a pride and they tell him to kill Feather because a real Mane doesn't take care of cubs that aren't his. what? Like, where was this in the first episode when Proudmane took over? Okay, right? I understand nothing bested him in combat, and so she gets to live. But if that's the case, if they're supposed to kill the cubs, shouldn't he have killed Fire? Because Fire didn't do anything. Fire just stood there and watched his sister, fight a adult male lion. He should have gotten killed. So the world building in the story is inconsistent. And that's why I don't really think this is a valid reason why the series is popular. So I just wanted to debunk that really quickly. The next reason, the lowest ranked reason why I believe the series is so popular, is the animation quality. Okay, so I think this is one of the most obvious reasons. Even though the animation in the series is minimal, it's pretty consistent throughout the entire show. Mouths just don't start randomly moving in one episode and then switch back to just hanging open in another. The reason this is the lowest on the tier list of the reasons why I believe the show is so popular is because I've seen shows with way higher animation quality get way fewer views. For example, Fateless Night series Cursed. Okay, great animation quality, very fully animated, does not have a lot of views. Ice Rift Fire series Aeon. Same thing. Good quality, nice character designs, not a lot of views, not nearly as many views as My Pride, Azor Hao Sherlock series, Azor Hao. Wow, I just noticed all of these series have names that start with A. Huh, weird. I could go on, but you get the point. Like, these are shows that are actually fully animated. And not trying to discredit Tribble of Doom. I know they were on a tight schedule and things were stressful, but the fact that these shows are less popular with better animation proves that the animation quality is not the biggest factor in what makes this show popular. Number 2 reason why I believe the show is so popular. Okay, so animation quality was number 3. This will be number 2. And number 2 is pretty obvious. I've seen maybe one other person mention this, and that's audio. Okay, the audio in this show is spectacularly done. Whoever mixed the audio did a fantastic job. Whoever made the soundtracks did a fantastic job. The voice actors were amazing. A lot of people, I think, especially in the indie animal mater tube community, have no idea just how important the quality of audio is in a production. To better explain what I mean by this, I'm just going to show you 2 clips from My Pride, but with different audio.
Brother, I remember.
Of course I am! This is just what Pride Law demands. You know that.
A no man's challenge roar.
Oh, come off it, sister. You'll feel better once you calm down.
Challenging you for your pride, Fire! Fight me!
I'm serious. Sister, quit it!
My name is nothing!
You're not the brother I remember. Of course I am. This is just what Pride Law demands. You know that.
The No Man's Challenge roar?
Oh, come off it, sister. You'll feel better once you calm down.
Challenging you for your pride, Fire! Fight me!
I'm serious, sister. Quit it.
My name is nothing!
Not the same, is it? Do you see the difference? One of them sounds professional, and the other one sounds like some idiot recorded it in a room, far away from the microphone, and put stock music behind it. Anyway, as you can see, audio can really make or break a production. And I have to give it to My Pride. Out of all the indie animated animal series I've seen on YouTube, and I have seen a lot, this is the second best audio mixing and voice acting I have seen. And the only reason I'm saying second best is because Wolves of the Mist exists. Okay, and if you haven't seen Wolves of the Mist, go watch it right now. What are you doing? It's literally the best thing ever. That movie is supreme. Alright, so now on to the number 1 reason that I believe this series is as popular as it is, the main thing that contributed to its popularity. And that is consistency. The reason I believe this is simply because of the trends of animated shows and their views on YouTube. If you look at all of the shows that release their episodes on an inconsistent basis or release like one episode a year, you would notice that with each episode, the show steadily declines in viewership. There may be a slight increase on a few episodes, but it's usually just a downward trend. This is mainly for two reasons. One, YouTube's algorithm rewards consistency. The more you post, the more likely it is for people to see your content. And two, people will forget about your series because they have other things to do, and there are plenty of other shows. Okay. The only time it stays somewhat consistent is if the creator is releasing other content in between episodes. In my opinion, if you're making an animated series or any kind of series and you cannot release on a weekly or bi-weekly basis, do not release it. Your viewership will absolutely tank and people will completely forget about your series. The only exception really is if it's very well produced and has a good enough story that it basically spreads by word of mouth and fan content. For example, Hell of a Boss by VivziePop. Right? People make fan characters of that show. They have tons of fan comics and fan dubs and fan animations dedicated to it. The fandom for that show is amazing and they're very, very active. It's hard for me to go on my art Instagram and not see a post from that show. That's how active they are. And even with all of that, their viewership for the show, if you look at the Hell of a Boss playlist on YouTube, still declined with each episode because they were posting episodes inconsistently. They were not posting on a consistent timeline, and so you can see the steady decline in their viewership. This is very difficult, especially if you're a newer content creator, newer to making shows and series on YouTube, because you want to give spoilers, you want to show progress, you want to, as soon as you finish an episode, you want to release it. But you just can't, you can't because you're just competing with a lot of other people, and people that watch your show are invested in it right then and there. The longer you wait to release another episode of your show, the less likely the people that were watching it initially will come back and watch it again. Because usually when people are invested in shows, they're invested in them for the now. The only time they'll go back is if it was really good, right? And even then, still, the first two episodes of Hell of a Boss have more views than all of the other ones. Consistency is key. If you want to keep your viewership engaged, you need to post consistently, at least weekly, bi-weekly. All right, so those are all the reasons why I think My Pride became so popular. If you like the video, leave a like, leave a comment if you think I'm a big fat liar and I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. And to all the creators I mentioned in this video, email me and we can make a big gay ass poster with all of our main characters, and I can write a wiki fandom on the Animal Mater YouTube community and put all our series on there. No, but seriously, that would be cool. Like, please email me. My email is in the description. All right. Thank you all for listening, and I'll see you guys later. Sayonara, Unknowns.